Hello guys, just a short introduction, very short introduction to today's video. I know I advertised this video on my social media as the video that will be about Nefertiti and Akhenaten. However, as I was reviewing more carefully the transcript and reading, it's actually not so much about them. There is going to be, of course, mentioning of what happened there with them, but it's going to be mostly about Homo Capensis, the race of the extraterrestrials that the Akhenaten is from. He was a Homo Capensis, and we'll be talking about that. The story will actually continue in the next video, and in the next video, Svaru will be talking about her direct involvement there with this story. She actually was there and she died twice, as she explains. So yes, if you are new to the channel, Svaru Vera had different variants and loops of herself repeating the same life over and over again. This can be actually watched in some other videos, but yes, watch this video and the next one as it connects. I'm going to try to make them together, and it actually does fit with the story of what's happening now in space, as told by Marisva in her channel Svara Oficial. In this video, it's going to be different people speaking, okay? So we're going to have something from Yashi, we are going to have something from Svaru, and we are going to have something from Aneka. Since I'm talking to different people and Robert is talking to different people at different times, sometimes some of the information repeats because it's the same information, same story, just told at a different time by a different person. So I didn't delete that, I just kept it there. So that's that. I'm not going to appear again, so enjoy the video and do watch the next part because it's quite fascinating. Enjoy, bye-bye. So, moving on, what happened to the plan to remove the Van Allen bands? Akhenaten and Nefertiti have ruined everything. This is the exact point at which the Cabal that controls the world is created. Following, then enters the Lord of the Stars, Elohi, Akhenaten, and as such he thinks he is a good person. But little by little he is introducing to a group of people strange ideas of worshipping a black sun, Saturn. This is the exact point of the beginning of the present problem.
Akhenaten belonged to the extraterrestrial race Homo Capensis, from the star Asterope in the Pleiades, also known on Earth as Elohi. This race are distant relatives of the Aryans. They have a much larger skull than humans, but no greater brain density. Yes, they have a unified brain, that is, of a single mass, but much corpus callosum and little density, creating the bony plates of a skull differ from the human. They also contain more craniocerebral fluid and brain support fibers, which are the structures that hold the brain in place, making them resistant to shocks, with a skull version more inclined towards protection.
Formerly on Earth, there were two main populations of Homo Capensis. One concentrated in Peru and the other in Egypt, being the same species, although they were also found elsewhere, such as in the Carpathian Mountains.
The Egyptian people were survivors of the Tiamat disaster, and it was because of the arrival of the Federation races and those of M45, Elohi, Engan, Solatians, Hydeans, and Tegatans that pre-dynastic Egypt rose and flourished fully, and at a higher level than today's society. With zero-point energy, medical pods, sound healing, there was peace and prosperity, no slaves. Egypt at that time was the most advanced place or civilization on Earth, with Federation based under Giza since 12,500 BC. Egypt was a starport for the different races of the Federation, so there was a great variety of beliefs and tolerances that were contrary to the monotheism that Nefertiti and Akhenaten were trying to impose.
Akhenaten begins with his monotheistic ideas that contradicted with multiple other gods in his Parthenon. Today, that is reflected in that there is not only God in Catholicism, Christianity, but there are also saints, angels, archangels, virgins, apostles, clerics of various ranks, and so on. Egypt, by its holistic nature, was extremely permissive as a society towards people's creeds, as long as they respected each other, of course. But Akhenaten and his wife Nefertiti were already enforcing on the beliefs of the population there, disrespecting them and introducing concepts foreign to them, such as that they are, as people, insignificant, sinners, and requiring blind obedience, or else they will be punished in this life and after death. Moses Akhenaten's 10 Commandments concept. Akhenaten was the puppet of something else, which we have only found explanation to here more or less recently. He was the puppet of Nefertiti. Nefertiti is the one who controlled everything. She used Akhenaten. She was the one in charge. When it all came to breaking point, there was Ramses II, who was not a king, pharaoh, but I won't use that word again. He was of royal lineage, but terrestrial. Akhenaten and Nefertiti, as guides, had rank over the earthly kings, the concept of stellars as gods. Those were difficult times in Egypt, with a lot of social unrest, revolts and quarrels between the two sides. Logically, as a nexus point in the history of Earth, I, as a sand-clock fighter pilot, would use that point to intervene in favor of humans and Earth, knowing well this history and the origins of evil on Earth. I get there. It was a spaceport after all, and as a stellar, I also have a rank as Akhenaten and Nefertiti. I take these names: Ankheperure, Neferneferewaten, Meritaten, Meritaten, Svaritaten Svota, Skota Skota, among others. Ramses II manages to enforce the departure of Akhenaten and Nefertiti from Egypt. They are erased or removed or deprived of all royal rank or power in Egypt. Something unprecedented in that place. And as an advanced society, they are given the opportunity to live in peace, in an organized way. Only one part lives by land, as it says in the Bible. Most of them live by sea to the Mediterranean in big ships of the time. In the Bible it says, "Let the waters of the sea be parted, and let the people of Israel, Isis, Amon-Ra, Elohim, pass through." This is interpreted to mean that the waters parted, or that they were allowed passage by sea in ships, not on foot.
A great revolt started in Egypt that ended up in the expulsion of Nefertiti and Akhenaten. creating the biblical story of the Exodus because Moses and Akhenaten were the same person. The name Akhenaten means golden eye, solar worship. The Egyptians as a people were used to living among what they knew as gods, and did not allow themselves to be manipulated. They wanted to continue with their polytheistic religion, and Nefertiti and Akhenaten imposed a monotheistic solar worship, so they were expelled. And at that time, Egypt was not a religion in the modern sense, where it is something with strict rules. In fact, I use the term religion freely as a definition, because their polytheistic gods were nothing more than a number of federation races to whom they rendered gratitude for teaching them agriculture, astronomy, mathematics. It is misunderstood today because it was not a cult, it was not a religion. But modern archaeology only gives their interpretations, where an Egyptian god was something non-existent, not a real person as they really were. It was from the time of the arrival of Akhenaten and Nefertiti that everything began to deteriorate. When they are expelled from Egypt, Nefertiti and Akhenaten with their followers, 12 peoples of Israel, Egypt, go to various places in the world, including Ireland, Scotland and Wales, France, Catalonia, Galilee, Malta, Greece, and Italy. It is in Italy where they mix with the Etruscans, where everything leads to the creation, or foundation, of the Roman Empire, which as we know is the Pope, the Vatican, and the Cabal.
What is the brain of Homo Capensis like?
Homo Capensis brain has a lot of connective tissue inside the skull, and it is a kind of brain that is less dense than the human brain, and much less dense than the Tegetan one. So don't go with the idea that they are super intelligent. Yes, they're telepathic, but that's a lot of head for a brain.
But they have those elongated skulls.
It's very porous, but it works fine. It's just another model. It's not that it's better. Not because it's my race, but medically speaking, in or within the Lyrian races, the Tegetan brain is the most efficient, although it has deficiencies when it has to understand or work with things of humans or other races with two hemispheres. For example, it tends to dyslexia. The Tegetan brain, it tends to dyslexia when it is forced to work in duality like writing.
I understand, yes. I don't see that as something serious. And why do their heads have that shape? What is the function of an elongated head?
This elongated skull serves to house a brain of a different shape and a more porous morphology with more fat. But it is not more intelligent than a rounder but much denser brain. Dense, the number of neurons and dendritic connections per square centimeter.
And do you know how they came to power?
We don't understand how exactly, but they have treaties with the reptilians. But they hide in the dumbs. Until recently we did not know of their presence, and we have even said that they are not on Earth. Yes, they are in small power groups. We already discovered them.
What features do they have? Like a European, only with an elongated head?
They have features more like a Mayan Indian, but with white skin and red hair.
Yes, I have seen some images. And what color eyes? Blue?
Clear honey-colored, but sometimes blue. Yes, but usually green or honey. And with red hair. Yes. Note the different skull bones. The features are not European, as you can see.
Like Native American. Yes. Are they 5D?
Yes, but in itself, 3D denotes only a level of consciousness perception. With this disclosure, we wish to dismantle that whole thing about densities, dimensions, and all that. Even contradictory things like this can be understood when applying logical explanations with the expanded mind. Everything amalgamates together as consciousness advances. We can only understand to the limit of our perception.
Do you know what the gate of Haya Maraca, or the gate of the gods, was in Peru?
Yes, it is the one carved in rock. When portals are being used to enter the earth from wherever, sometimes it already remains as a preferential place. because of the energy of the place. Planetary ley lines that make a portal more efficient and stable. Then it is restored, or a door is made like that to indicate a place. But this is mostly from the point of view of the local people, because technologically it is not necessary. But in short, that gate is a portal, exit and entrance. It used to be very much in use. So much traffic of people passing through there that they even made a door in the rock to mark the exact place. There is no reason why it should not be opened again today, so it has at least active potential.
And by which races was the portal mainly used at that time?
The Homo Capensis, or Elohi, were considered gods for that region. They are descendants of the star Asterope in M45 in the Pleiades.
Who built that gate? Was it the Elohi?
The technology there indicates that it was not carved by settlers. I don't have the specifics, but the most likely, overwhelmingly most likely, is that it was the Elohi.
So it's post-Atlantis?
Most likely, it was contemporary to Atlantis. As a general rule, all such constructions are much older than Earth science estimates.
Did the Elohi collaborate with the Atlanteans, or were they independent?
Probably yes, and they interacted because Atlantis was cosmopolitan with many races and a lot of politics there. Sometimes they did collaborate, sometimes they didn't. It depends on the historical moment. Imagine a city with many races, with reptiles in the regional government.
Are the Elohi Lyrians?
They are a hybrid mixture with a conglomerate of other races. On Earth, as such, they are not genetically compatible, although contradicting the latter, with DNA altered surely due to the degradation process when exposed to a lower frequency of the so-called 3D, there are indications that some families of the misnamed human elite have Homo Capensis DNA. Homo Capensis have a unified brain, but much corpus callosum, little density, and this means that the bony plates of the skull differ from the human skull. The main cranioencephalic bony cleft is missing. This is a reference point of the unified brain as opposed to the three-point junction found in the upper wall of the human skull. Also, they contain more cranioencephalic fluid and brain support fibers, which are the structures that hold the brain in place, which makes them shock resistant, as if they were wearing an integrated motorcycle helmet. So, what I mean is Homo Capensis, in a competition of intellect, have no advantage against someone with a round skull like a Lyrian. They are not the great invincible geniuses they appear to be. It is just a variant more inclined towards protection. In the case of Homo Capensis, today the Elohi, they are not directly related to us. That is to say, they are distant relatives of Lyra. As you have may noticed, in space outside of Earth, there are beings that range from exactly like humans to others that look similar outside but not inside, and all sorts of variants on a scale or gradient from the same to the very different, and everything in between. I'm talking about thousands and thousands of races, so they fall on the scale of less similarity to humans. That is partly why they believe they are the masters of the world, since their genetic lineage goes as far back as Sumeria, And there are two main points or populations of Homo Capensis on Earth, Peru and Egypt, but of the same species, with some in the Carpathian Mountains. If you want to see evidence of extraterrestrials, that is the presence of Homo Capensis on Earth, where it has been proven that the skulls were not elongated by splinting skulls of babies. If this happened in one region or another, is to make their children look like those beings. Although the blind terrestrial science does not accept anything that does not interest or suit its controllers. And also, unborn fetuses were found already with elongated skulls.
Is this related to one of Hitler's intentions to maintain the genetic purity of the Aryan race?
This part corresponds to another race. To maintain the purity of the Aryan race is to keep pure the genes of Ireland, which is the starting point of the present civilization on Earth, since Ireland was where the survivals of Atlantis arrived. So they genetically maintain etheric compatibility with being organic portals of reptilian souls.